Good evening. How are y'all doing? Good. I'm going to try to, there's a lot in this one, which there always is on this budget workshop, but we've got a lot of new information and a lot of information pulled together for the first time. So I'm going to try to go through this in as orderly of a fashion as possible. I'm going to start with the piece that we've been waiting on for several months now is our certified taxable values. If you'll remember, I'm just going to touch on real briefly, our preliminary values came in much higher than normal, about 20% higher than our certifieds last year. So in the process of HCAD and Mr. Flowers certifying things and double checking things, they did find why, and they found that the industrial category had been duplicated, which that would make sense that it would raise it that much. And then there were some smaller categories that had some properties that also had been duplicated. But he has assured us that he has scrubbed those, backward and forward, and ensured that they're correct now. But it makes sense because we had a stable property value year, in my mind, what I was expecting. So last year's certified values were just over 3.316 billion, and then this year's, the 2026 certified values are $3,374,805,374. So that was a year-over-year increase of just 1.75% instead of, I believe, what I presented in June was like 21%. So this is much more what was in line, and the very good news about this is that anything over 2.5% increase triggers extra compression at the state level and more dollars compressed. So this keeps us under that 2.5% increase threshold. So we will not see additional compression, which is a very good thing. So I believe this was, I should have written this down, what this was before in June. Yeah, I believe it was like 65 cents. So we will be able to, TEA has not certified yet. We've submitted everything this morning. We received these values at 9:15 this morning. So I submitted everything to TEA. Well, Mr. Martin certified and submitted it. And so as soon as there's no reason I don't expect them to certify this value. So the Tier 1 is 62.54 cents. And of course, we have 5 cents of Tier 2. So that our M&O tax rate that we anticipate TEA certifying is 67.54 cents. And then keeping our INS tax rate level at 9.5 cents. As soon as, I know we talked about in June that y'all were all interested in doing a defeasance payment of about $2 million in the INS to be able to pay down an extra principal payment on our bonds. As soon as I get certified values back from TEA, I'm going to send all of my calculations over to our bond counsel, and he will write up all of the resolutions in order for y'all to approve that at the August meeting before tax rates and budget. So that will be the plan, and it will be around $2 million. So our total tax rate will go down by 0.68 cents down to 77.04 cents per $100 of taxable value. Okay, so next slide. The only thing I'm going to touch on here, we've gone over this in detail last meeting. However, I will touch on the accounts that did change because of that taxable value change. So what you would expect is that a lower taxable value would garner lower tax collections. So that is the case, and then therefore the difference, the balance is an increase in state funding. So that is the case. So it was, I think, a little over $24 million in proposed property tax collections down to 22.45. However, we see a direct increase in our foundation school program up to 16.2 million. So that balances out. The good news with that is that whenever our state funding increases, that also increases our oversight fee on our virtual school. So the tax collections don't necessarily have that effect. So whenever our collections go down and our state funding goes up, so does the TEVA side of state funding. So that number also increased. Also, since the last meeting, y'all approved to go to 30,000 for the enrollment cap for the 26-27 year, and so that increased our virtual school revenue. Of course, I still don't budget on 100% of that, but I do budget on 18,614, and I believe that if we were to budget on everything, it'd be about 24,000 ADA estimated. So this is about 76.6% of that 24,000 enrollment. So that will still, even at that conservative, will bring in 19.6 million. Part of that is the payroll reimbursement, which is about 2.6 million of that number. So that brings our total local revenues to $34,429 for local. And then we get to our state, and there was no change to available school fund because that's based off of a prior year ADA number. So those estimates remain the same. The only thing that those could change is right now they're based on an estimate that TEA puts out at this time, and they true up that per capita rate estimate as we get closer to the end of the year. Our foundation school, we talked about these three allotments here, our teacher retention allotment, support staff allotment, and basic cost allotment were new in 25-26. And so we're keeping that kind of separated out so you can kind of see those numbers and how they came out. We actually, the 1.56 million is how we ended in 25-26, so I lowered that down from our budget last year to be more in line with the reality for this coming year. The other two were pretty close, so that was, those are pretty close variances. So this line for foundation school virtual, obviously with an increase in enrollment cap to 30,000, that will increase anticipated revenues. This is where we try to budget 100% or as closest to what we can estimate, because the flip side of this revenue is direct expense out to Stride K-12. So the closer we can get on that, the less budget amendments we have to make in the future, which we still may have to, and that's okay, but try to get it closer. So that revenue goes up from 201 million in 25-26 up to 237,449,000. So our total state revenues will go up to $276,832,785. And our federal revenues will remain the same. We have our $34,200 for our E-rate. Once we get our final approval for those E-rate projects, that's a prolonged, y'all have already approved to do the E-rate projects. However, we have to get the federal approval, and that's a prolonged process. It could be early fall when we get that approval, but at that time, once we know for sure that the feds have approved that project and we can move forward, then I will bring back a budget amendment for that exact amount and increase that federal revenue. Sure. Correct. So this particular one relates to our cable, and so it's 60%. We received 60% reimbursement back on what our actual bill is. Yeah. So our total proposed 26-27 revenues, almost 322 million, with 252 million of that related directly to TIVA sources and almost 70 million related to brick and mortar sources, including our virtual oversight fee. Any questions on that before I move on to some of the other? And we'll see this summarized on the final page where we put it all together, so you'll see how that translates over. The next fund we'll look at, and the only thing we've updated on this is related to our tax collections with our lowered tax values. This is our INS fund, so this is the fund to service our debt and can only be used to service our debt. So you'll see that, I need to increase that because my eyes are not that good. At 9.5 cents for our INS tax rate, we will collect just over 3.2 million. We will also, with the higher 30,000 enrollment cap, that will generate about 500,000 more in existing debt allotment. So that will go from about 5.3 million up to 5.8. And so that brings our total revenues for our INS fund at just over 9.1 million. Our expenses, including a $2 million defeasance payment, would be $10,566,500. And that would bring our fund balance back down closer to $2 million from where it has kind of built up over the last few years to $3 million. So once we get, like I've got notes in here, that once we get that approved from TEA, we'll get that defeasance order and resolution ready for next meeting for y'all to consider and approve. And this is just a summary, kind of more detailed of how the INS fund revenues break out by local, state, and no federal. Okay, now I'm going to shift gears to starting to put it all together. The biggest piece for y'all's consideration, obviously every year, is the compensation considerations. This, after last month's meeting, we talked about we had the results of how our TRS Active Care health insurance premiums were going to be. And so you asked me to bring back what would make it $100 on the lowest premium for an employee. And I also made another option just for giggles, if it was 100% of that employee's portion. So obviously it would, the lowest policy increased by $44 from our 25-26 premiums. So that would increase our, we would have to increase our contribution from $428 a month up to $472 a month. To cover 100% of that lowest employee premium, we'd have to raise it then another $100 to $572. So I've got in these highlighted amounts kind of generally estimate how much that would cost. Already built into the budget is our current rates. So that would cost, already is costing $2.5 million to cover those $428 per month in contributions for our 490 participants. If we increased it, that would only increase it about $260,000 to go up to $472, and then it would increase about a little over $800,000 in order to cover 100% of that lowest cost. So I wanted to give you that update. This next page, we're going to look at our, do y'all have any questions? Y'all stop me at any time. I'm wanting to make sure we can get through all this. We have our proposed teacher salary schedule. We've got a couple of things that one main thing. You'll see this middle column here is a proposed salary for non-certified teachers. We're now required to have a separate pay scale for teachers that are non-certified. This doesn't apply to our CTE teachers because they fall under our DOI, but this is the state's push to try to have everybody certified, and this is an incentive to help do so. There's no specific guidance about how much lower it has to be. We've seen some districts as low as just $100 less per step, and some up to what, Lindsay, you saw $15,000 less on each step. So what you'll see here, this is our 25-26 current step schedule with, you'll remember last year we had our teacher retention allotment. So some of those, the people who went from 2 to 3 had to get that $2,500, they had to at least get $2,500 more. And then again, after 5, they have to get the $5,000. So we still have to, as those people reach those thresholds, make sure that, and those are all funded, and but we have to make sure that's built in. Mm-hmm. That's what I was just talking about. So it's technically not the current salary schedule, but it is in order to have that TRA for this year. So I probably should label that column a little bit better, but we've got to somehow capture what it has to be for them. And then y'all could approve this column to become 26, 27, or these next 3 columns show what raises would be on each of those steps at 1, 2, and this should say 3, but I didn't update my column. So I apologize for that. But these numbers are 3% more than each of these lines. Let's see, and I have the cost of all these on a separate page, but just kind of wanted to show you that in form. Last year, we had, for the people on this pay scale, the teachers, librarians, counselors, and nurses, we had their retention stipends, incentives based on years of experience. So this is what was paid for the 25-26 year. Y'all can choose to, if you like that system, choose to keep it the same numbers, or when looking at just different options for how much things cost, weighing it with recurring versus non-recurring options for compensation package, we came up with a different system if we wanted to go higher on incentives, less on raises. And that's what these last two columns are, is just a representation that kind of matches up on the next page. So these four columns right here, in essence, are the same thing, just these are higher amounts. Any questions on that? I'll kind of pull all of that together on this next slide here. This is where I just wanted to kind of give you an a la carte menu of things to look at, how much they cost, the different combinations of the different things. So we know, I wanted to note at the very top, and this is already built into the budget, so this is not something that we would have to add on or anything, just stepping up everybody that's on the teacher pay scale and everybody that's on a step system, like our salary schedule 1 and 2 are all on steps. So when I rolled out the budget, I can automatically do a system that steps them up. So that cost with benefits costs just under $450,000. So already coming into it, we're adding $450,000 of recurring expenditures. So I just wanted to kind of note that. That's up there. All of those people are already going to get more than what they made in 25-26 with that number. Then the next section, we've got how much it would cost for 1%, 2%, and 3% raise options. Of course, these are all recurring, so I'm putting them all in that column. A 1% raise is for $477,000, 2% is double that, and 3% is $1.4 million. The next is just summarizing again how much it would cost for those active care distributions to increase those amounts or to keep them the same. It's already built in. It would be no more of an increase than we're already seeing, than we're already paying. So then we kind of looked at what can we do on incentives. So that goes back to this page. You can kind of refer back here to kind of follow along with these totals. The first section here for incentives, the first line is exactly what we did in 25-26. We did 2 payments, one in the fall and one in the spring, of $2,300 each. And that for this year would cost a little over $2.5 million. That is a non-recurring item because that's not built in to their salaries and not recurring into the budget. Same thing if we were to, if we wanted to go less on a raise or I even put an option, no raise, but go big on an incentive, you could do if you did 2 $3,500 payments, that would cost a non-recurring cost of $3.8 million. And then it's kind of the same methodology down here for all the people on the pay scale, the teacher pay scale. If we did the 2 payments at the same amounts that we did last year, so this section here, that if we did that again, that would cost a little over $1.6 million. And if we did higher amounts, and I kind of just, we put this number $3,500 twice, and then I just figured out what percentage increase that was. It was about 52% higher than 25-26. And so that's why I applied to be fair and equitable on those incentives. Yes, sir. So the TRA employees are the teachers, librarians, nurses, and counselors. So everybody that's on the teacher pay scale. Now, they don't all get funding for it, but there's about non-TRA is everybody else. Administrators, everybody but teachers, librarians, nurses, and counselors. Mm-hmm. I was just yeah. It was just a number, because if you decided to go less on raises or no raise, you can go as big as you want to go, or you can go anywhere. That number, that 3,500, can be adjusted easily, and be calculated easily. But it's the point of that is that it's non-recurring. It's not adding to right, kind of like where the 448 came from. So that number can be, this is just kind of a la carte. You can play around with it or email me and I can play around with it too. Mm-hmm.
With 1, 2, and 3%, or definitely not, we talked about leaving that lag, I guess it would be better for 1 year now, maybe not just 1 year, the latter, the new, retention.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I will say, I went back this afternoon, and I meant to put a slide at the end, and I didn't, but the last 4 years, we've done raises, just so you know, 24, 25, and 25, 26. So the last 2 years, we did a 3% raise with incentives with all of these. 23, 24, we did a 2% raise, and then 22, 23 is the year we did that 10% raise. So I just kind of went back the last 4 years, just so you know the consecutive nature of the raises, if that is helpful information. And mainly, we want to get your feedback on what you want to see, what you like. I wanted to show you what the option that has the least impact on recurring cost is the last one, where you can still do the insurance increase. If you did no raise with a higher incentive amount, and you can adjust the incentive amount to whatever you want it to be, but in this scenario, this non-recurring is the highest amount, and the only part recurring would be the insurance, which would be $258,000. Correct, absolutely. It's coming from these columns right here. Correct, it would be based off of these numbers. These two columns cost this much, and then the 2.5 comes from here. And Lindsay, you may have more information, but where do we line up with other brick and mortar as far as raises this year? What have you seen? Mm-hmm. Which Pine Tree doesn't have theirs? Yeah. We've been staying competitive with our local competitors. Not Longview; they're always going to pay more. But we're in line, or we try to be a little bit higher than the ones that we're most competitive with. We don't have that information from them right now; it's not published. It's probably a mixed bag. You know, people who are closer to retiring are always going to want a raise, because that's the incentives they don't count towards your TRS. But then you hear as much that people like the incentives, which I know that because of our situation with TIVA, not everybody even is able to give those types of things. So it's nice that we even have these options on the table to consider. I don't know if do you have any more feedback on that?
The retention I do like, because for instance, we are in line with Pine Tree, Marshall, I'm not talking about Longview.
Right.
There's got to be some incentive behind it. Now, if you
Right.
already compare on the ladder, then stick around for 5 more years, and it's another $4 grand, every year.
Right.
I guess it could be upwards to $5 grand. The raise is still scary. Because I've been saying this for 10 years now.
Yep.
We are so deep in the TIVA money now that if it went away tomorrow, which is not Miss Julie, but if it
Yeah.
did, all of this goes away.
And a lot of that was legislatively. Yeah.
Enterprise
Yeah.
is coming to repo vehicles. It's a different school district.
Yeah.
So if we give raises, especially
We have to consider it.
we have dug it even deeper and just keep going. And I hope it's around forever.
Well, and that's why we want to make sure that we just keep this at the forefront of y'all's minds of what the options could be. And we could play around these numbers all day, every day between now and when y'all want to approve a compensation plan. I just wanted to give you these options and to. Right. The August. Yeah, and we could have, a special, if y'all want to do a special just on the compensation plan, so that's kind of covered, whatever y'all want to do.
That's the lowest one, so I mean, that's no brainer for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and what is frustrating that we get premiums based on our regions too, so just because of where we live, we're in one of the higher regions as well.
Here's the reason I'm for it, Jay, is, I'll talk to you about it, I'll talk to John. We've got a lot of employees that, both work for the district, they have no other choice on insurance.
Yeah.
And I've had many phone calls from coaches, teachers. Every year they felt like they didn't get a raise because of the insurance. In fact, they lost money a couple of years. One of those guys is no longer employed at the school, but I used to be part of your plan. So I'm on board, and that one doesn't hurt. It's the lowest one on the lowest budget.
Right.
I agree completely. I think we should have the opportunity to say, we can do this, we can lower an expense for you, despite what we decide to do with raises or with, the allotments. I think we send the message that you're trying to impact the bottom line in multiple directions.
So, I guess, everybody kind of on board with seeing the healthcare rate at $100.
Okay.
We found out now, we move on the order.
Yeah.
Continue our discussion on, starting raises. 1% raise.
So it's about $1 million increase from last year with the step increases. Still. Right. Right.
Obviously that, along with the incentive payments, retention bonuses and all of that, should go together. You gotta evaluate it together.
Right.
How one will go on the other. Aspirations like Troy, that 1 year go big on everything. Well, I'll give my opinion on it. I would go with 1% and then stick with the retention that we currently have. Well, I hate not to give anything, and I don't care if y'all want to go too.
That's the 4.9, Mary, correct?
Correct. That first line, right. And that also has the insurance part included in that.
Even odd, let's just 10% every year, let's just do it. Let's just do it and drain it, see what the level, figure it out.
2% income payments, so it was a $500,000 swing.
I'm sorry, the 2% raise with the same? Yeah. From a 1 to a 2% increase is, yeah, about almost 500,000. 480.
I guess my feeling on raise, 1 to 2%, I like, rather than, 52%,
So,
each category is on the ladder, $50 here, $50 there, not $50, $100, maybe. Just on the incentive. Like 2%? It'd be just a flat dollar. About like 2%, but
$50 more than we did this year? Like $50 more than, on each payment than we did this year, or 50 total, or? Mhm.
So if we're gonna go, like, if you're looking at a 1% raise with the same incentives and then a 2% raise with the same incentives, it's a $500,000 swing. That's it. And then if you 52% raise that up, another 2 million. So I mean, like, even if you,
10% more than this year's?
I'm looking at the,
That'd be like 200, well, 460 more total, because there were two $2,300 payments. Okay, now let me ask you this, because I know that last year when we set this up, y'all liked the weight to be heavier on the HISD years. Would you like, maybe, don't touch this one and put, okay. Just,
Well, right, I mean, if we're worried about that extreme, then we need to start budgeting what we can.
yes. And that's kind of built into the budget as well. Yep. And you'll see that on our last section, once we get past the compensation section, how that kind of pulls together. I think so. I can add, yeah, so I'll take these middle columns here, I'm gonna have written to add $50 to each of these. Add 100 here. Now, okay. No, that's okay. I can pull that pretty quickly and get that out to you too.
and I promise I'm not circling back to healthcare, I'm just asking, I know it's based on 490 participants, is that about how many we have, like, we're just like a, maybe 10% more or less?
Yes, and we've maybe gotten a few over the years, but it's been about that amount for the last few years. Maybe gotten a few more, but
I know you'll do it, Matt brought up a good point. You do the 100 and 200.
Mhm.
So go back to, no, I'm
Whoop,
sorry,
whoop,
you're
whoop.
the right one. No, that's not, your other spreadsheet that had the non-TRA.
this one here, it's just, yeah, so our current year,
2%, but instead of doing the $2,300 payments, if you were to do
add 300.
$2,400 payments, but still make sure it's fair on that other scale to where it's equal. Just the whole reason you did
Well, if we're adding 300 to up there, if we add 300 in total, it'll be 150, so it'd be like 2,450 each. They have raises, yes. And they're still, those raises are still built into all those steps. So they're still getting more than they got 2 years ago. Okay, let me write that down. Okay, I can update that pretty quickly and get that out to y'all so you can kind of see the impact. With the 472, 100, 200 on each of those columns, and then 224.50 payments for the non-TRA. Okay? Anything else on that you'd like to look at? I did want to mention, Ms. Layton had been looking at, I know you know that we do a stipend for master's degrees for teachers, librarians, counselors, and nurses, but she was looking at the cost to just anybody that has a master's degree would also qualify for that $1,000. So that would open it up. It's not a large amount of people, what, 30 people? Right. So- Okay. Okay. So in the class, you want to have a stipulation like in the classroom? Okay. Okay. We do. But like this would open it up to administrators would receive it. This would, outside of that situation, it would open it up to mainly administrators receiving it. Yeah. Mhm. So that's the primary people who would benefit from it. Okay. Any more questions on that or any more ideas? Okay, so this is the first look at everything put together. This one always makes me the most nervous because it's where everything comes in and adds up together. So the top, we've already gone over this. This is our revenues. So you'll see the $322 million in total general fund revenues increased over last year. We know why, because we're increasing enrollment cap, so there'll be higher state funding. I did not really, I did general explanations right here on variance increases and decreases among all the functions, but without, once we have the compensation plan in there, that's, because last year's includes the incentives, so it's kind of hard to really dig in, all of that. But once we have a compensation plan put in there, then it'll be more specific on explanations at the next meeting, once we have that lined out, and I can go ahead and build that into the functions. But I did want to mainly point out, bottom line, we knew in 25-26 we approved a deficit budget of $16.5 million. What that was comprised of was our compensation plan, and then we had the fund balance projects. So we had the stadium parking, the bus barn project, and the junior high athletic were all budgeted, even though some of them were estimates. They still were included in our budget. So we know that the stadium's the only one that completed, and so that one is fully expended in 25-26. Bus barn will be partially expended. We've already gotten 2 pay apps on it, so we'll have one more month of pay apps. So about $300,000 will be paid more on that. So the junior high had $6.5 million budgeted. That will roll over 100% to the new budget year. And in fact, we'll have the real bids to base that budget on going in the new year. So I always look at this bottom line, and this scares me because, oh no, it's already a deficit. Well, that deficit, if you back out the $5 million that didn't get spent, or about $4 million that didn't get spent of the facilities acquisitions, and in fact, I've got a tape on here. I can tell you exactly. Yeah, so there's $7.6 million didn't get fully expended. We also y'all approved for buses, 10 buses to be paid for out of 25-26. We've still not received those. There's still a delay. So that was $1.56 million of that deficit that is getting carried over to this new year. And then another $275,000 for the E-rate project. So it takes the $8.7 million back down to a surplus of $650,000, which anything over, break even is what I would rather see. So that explanation I liked. So from there, we roll to what do we have to have in our fund balance? We got to have 20% of our brick and mortar expenditures. So that required minimum fund balance based on this, if this were the final budget, and once we add anything that's approved, that number will go up. But right now in this budget, we have to have $15.4 million. And we started the year 25-26 with almost $60 million in fund balance. As you know, last meeting we talked about some of the revenue sources that we know will come in over budget, which is good, and also along with these items that won't get expended. So instead of expecting a $16.5 million deficit for 25-26, we expect only a $5.7 million. So that will decrease that $60 million budget down to $54 million. And so then we go from, if this number here, this 8.7 is already built into the budget, we're going to decrease that fund balance for 26-27 by that amount, leaving us with $45 million in fund balance. And then that's where the compensation and the other fund balance projects come into play to decrease that. So anything y'all approve would decrease it from that estimated $45 million. This, as of that moment right there, this moment in time, we would still be almost $30 million over our required fund balance. before anything's approved. So we know this year, 25, 26, and 26, 27 are big, big years for fund balance projects. I know that's been things that y'all have been talking about for several years, and so it's not a surprise that we will continue to spend down some of that fund balance if we approve those. So I just put, for the compensation, not knowing where you would land, I just kind of put on the low end, it could be as low as 4.9 million, as high as 8 million. I just put that range sitting there. We do know that we got some updated estimates on the projects, proposed projects for the high school covered practice field is just under 8 million. That includes architect, engineer, any kind of contingency fees are all inclusive in that budget number. Also, the stadium projects that would replace the old field house with an individual home and visitor side with a visitor press box addition would cost $4.25 million. And then last month, Mr. Tucker had discussed an extensive list of maintenance projects. So this is, without listing all those individually, we've got copies of those. This is $4.45 million. Some of those you may not want to approve. You may want him to come back and we really dig in and carve some of that out or approve it all. But that's as if everything was going to be approved. On the low end, that would be $21.5 million, which would still leave us about 8 million over our excess. So that's getting closer, We've been in that. But we also know that if we're doing these fund balance projects, that's what's expected. Still about 8 million more than we have to have in there. But I kind of want to have that full disclosure on that before we actually approve any of those projects, so that you have that in mind as you're thinking about that. Anyway. Oh, well, I hope. And please, if y'all have any questions, any more ideas, I'll go back and put in the ideas for the compensation plan and send that out to y'all so you have that updated. It shouldn't take me very long. So anyway, that is all I have tonight, and I'm sorry it's so lengthy, but this is always a big one. And we'll update this. HR is still working on getting things entered, so the salary numbers will go up and down a little bit between now and the 17th. But here we go. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, y'all let me know if you need anything, though. Okay. Thank you.
It is 6:30. We do have a quorum of board members present. We'll go ahead and get our seats and we'll begin. All right, if you'll rise, we'll begin with our invocation, followed by our pledge of allegiance. Shane, would you lead us in prayer?
Yeah, Heavenly Father, Lord, we're just blessed to be a part of this community, Lord, as I just travel throughout the country this summer, God. It's just been a blessing to be able to come back home and know that we're coming home to a community of people who love each other and that are here for each other. So I just want to just thank you for that. Thank you for our community, for our school, for our people that bind together to do what's right and do it by you. Lord, we just pray that all things we do not be to honor you. We don't pray.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May be seated. As we begin each meeting with our Bobcat Pride and Recognition, Ms. Whittle.
They've prepared a song and a dance for you tonight.
Yeah.
They're like, probably not. Okay, this is Liv and Liam. I don't know if you remember them from a couple of years ago, but they, a couple of years ago, saw a need in our community, and we were running low in our nutritional backpack funds, and these two got together and were like, we got this, we're gonna make a lemonade stand. And so they did it again this summer. So they are both third graders at North Elementary. And their goal was, do you remember what your original goal was?
Our goal was originally to beat our first year.
Okay, to beat the first year. I think that day at the lemonade stand, you said $800 was their goal. And so let's scoot right over here and show them this big old check. It is $3,720. So they have big plans in the future. I think we're starting a franchise next year. But thank you so much. Thank you to Emma and your parents and all the other people that helped you out. I bought you these little positive lemons. They say when life gives you lemons, make lemonades. So those are your little positive lemons. And thank you so very much. Very proud of you for being leaders.
Y'all come over here and get a picture with Mr. Martin and Ms. Whittle.
Mr. Martin wore yellow too for your lemonade.
Y'all come on and get pictures if you would, want to, parents.
Miss Glenn says come this way. Okay, no. We have certificates. How about that? Take that, give Mr. Martin that big check.
Also, a huge thank you to everyone in this room who donated. There's a lot of faces out there who Venmo'd or came by and flooded with us, so I really appreciate that.
Very good, kiddos. Thank y'all. Next item we have is our open forum. We've had two individuals that have requested to speak together on the renaming football field. Ms. Paula Parker, Ms. Sherry Morgan. I'll read out the rules for public forum. Person wishing to speak must sign up. It's been done. Audience participation at the board meeting is limited to public comment portion of the meeting. Audience shall not enter into discussion or debate, thank you, on matters considered by the board unless requested by the presiding officer. The presentation shall only be 3 minutes. The presiding officer or designees shall determine whether a person addressing the board has attempted to resolve the matter administratively through resolution channels established by policy, and the board will not tolerate disruption of the meeting by members of the audience. And I'll have Mr. Crafton have our 3-minute time, and whenever y'all ready, go ahead.
I wasn't gonna cut you off.
Thank you. Mr. Martin, our school board, all of our members of our community, as well as our administrative staff, Ms. Morgan and myself, we are products of this school district and this community. And it's some of the best that we've ever had in the remembrance of great times, because it truly was a community, as it still is a community. And all of our childhood memories go back in some way. We find Jimmy Hunt in the mix. And I'm sure so many of y'all knew Mr. Hunt, loved Mr. Hunt, but we have put together a presentation that we would like and respectfully ask that our board consider. While Hallsville ISD has traditionally not named facilities after individuals, there are rare occasions when a person's lifelong dedication, service, and impact upon the community rise to a level deserving of permanent recognition. We believe Mr. Hunt's life and legacy represents such an occasion. James B. Hunt was the embodiment of Hallsville ISD. A 1958 graduate of Hallsville High School, he first served the district as a student athlete on the Hallsville Bobcat football team. After graduating from Texas Tech University, he returned immediately to his hometown and devoted his professional career to serving the students, families, and staff of Hallsville. Throughout his career, Mr. Hunt served Hallsville ISD in numerous capacities, including science teacher, middle school principal, high school principal, and assistant superintendent overseeing maintenance and transportation. His leadership touched every aspect of district operations and impacted generations of students. He also solved broken hearts. He fixed scraped knees. He reprimanded if you didn't have work turned in, and he never hesitated to be there. I can attest to that, as can Sherry. Yet his influence extended far beyond his professional responsibilities. Mr. Hunt was a lifelong supporter of Hallsville athletics and the Hallsville Bobcats. For 67 consecutive years, he attended Hallsville football games without missing a single contest. That's not 67 years of at-home football games. That's 67 at home and away. The extraordinary commitment reflects not only dedication to a sport, but devotion to a school, a community, and the young people who represented it on the field. Few individuals can claim a lifetime so completely intertwined with a school district. Mr. Hunt was a student athlete, teacher, administrator, mentor, supporter, and ambassador, not only for Hallsville ISD, but for the community. His service spanned decades. It left a lasting imprint on countless students, faculty members, coaches, and community. Naming the football field in his honor would not simply recognize one individual. It would celebrate the values that Hallsville ISD seeks to instill in every student: loyalty, service, commitment, leadership, and pride in one's community. We further suggest that Hallsville ISD establish a standard whereby facility naming recognition is reserved only for individuals who have been designated as distinguished alumni and whose contributions to the district are truly extraordinary. Mr. Hunt's life represents the very best of Hallsville. His story is one of unwavering dedication to the school district that he loved, and he served his entire life. Future generations of students entering the stadium would be reminded that true success is measured not only by accomplishments, but by a lifetime of service to others. I would like to also say it's service from the heart. It's not service because it's part of your job. It's not service because you were told to, but it's from your heart. And that was where Mr. Jimmy was. For these reasons, we respectfully request that the board designate the facility as Bobcat Stadium, James B. Hunt Field, so that his legacy may continue to inspire Hallsville students, athletes, and citizens for generations to come. Respectfully submitted, Sherry Morgan, Paula Parker. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll move on to our consent items. We've got our minutes from our June special board meeting and budget workshop, minutes from the June 22nd regular board meeting, the June balance sheet for the general fund and financial statement, the budget amendment 2026-9, renewal of 2026-27 property liability workers' comp insurance carrier, approve the 2026-27 food service charge policy, approve a continued membership in purchasing, current purchasing co-ops for 26-27, approve local policy update 127, and approve changes to policy FDA local. Is there any one we would like to pull and discuss? That's the FDA local, who's the transfer. You want a question on that? We'll pull the FDA local, we want to discuss that one. Any other ones that board members would like to discuss? If not, do we have a motion to approve consent items A through I? Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Haney. We have a second? Second by Mr. Pry. Any other conversation on that? All in favor? 6-4, none opposed. Okay, FDA local policy. That is the policy on transfers, inter-district transfers. You want to go ahead and start with your question?
Yeah, I knew Tiva was involved with it when I read up on it, but it was, from what I read, I didn't have a lot of detail as far as the local. Does that just give us, without voting on it every time you've got access to that?
Local is just us versus the legal side of it, what we can have what we can change.
Okay. It had the brick and mortar in there too.
I got you.
So that takes it, we don't have to vote on it every time. If we need to let 10 students in, you can.
Yeah, that's kind of the conversations we've had, talking about, if we have a grade level that has seats that we could fill, open it up for that grade levels, not wide open, pre-K all the way up, but just try to fill grade levels as we need them. That's kind of what the theory behind this policy change was. Well, brick and mortar, but Julie can.
Right, for the brick and mortar, that was a situation
Similar,
for
different things
us.
for Julie.
We just needed some more teeth in the game, where we could say, these are our guidelines, and we need to follow these things in order for students to be with us per the TXPSN guidelines. So that was what we were dealing with more of. You had to have your proof of residency, you had to have your proof of public prior, that if you came to us saying you had this documentation, but you didn't give it to us in a timely manner, that seat would be revoked because of the fact that you didn't meet the requirements to be at our school, and then we could open it up to another student who did meet the requirements of having all of their documentation to be a student with us.
And that's been somewhat of a struggle.
Been a struggle.
With Tiva.
It's been a
the
struggle.
Moving schools.
Mhm.
Okay.
Timelines have been a
Residency as
struggle.
well.
I'm sorry.
And proving residency as the state of Texas.
Yes.
My only concern was the brick and mortars. Who manages it? Because it sounds easy, but it's not. Because when I look at some campuses like North, we've already got portable buildings out there. And maybe that's not grade levels we can add kids, so we just eliminated K through 4. And then when we get to the high school level, I see a lunchroom that's already overly crowded. So I'm just wondering who manages this and how do we look at it each year? I know we can say year to year, but I know for a fact if we let a kid in 6th grade, we're not kicking them out in 9th grade because we're overflowing at the high school. We can say that, but we've never done it in the years that we've had it. So again, my concern is, I know we built a new campus at West. It was supposed to free up elementary space. We haven't seen a ton of organic growth, 1%, 2% a year. So So I'm just concerned from a brick and mortar level that we open it up again. And 5 years from now, I'm seeing more portable buildings pop up, or we're needing to get another bond to build another school. And it's because of transfers, not growth in our school district. So that's the large concern I have there. And why I was a proponent of doing away with it 6 years ago. But, again, the portable building thing I've got an issue with too. I know it's needed right now, but I hate the fact that right after we finish West, within 2 months, we're putting portable buildings over at North Elementary, so. And I don't know who's gonna manage that. So, I mean, I know you'll give the approval, but am I looking at the person who's gonna manage it year to year?
Well, hold on, Ms. Walker,
So,
she's gonna help me manage that if you guys approve it.
Do we have a need to fill certain grade levels?
We do have some grade levels that are not comparatively equal to what we have at West, to north and east. We've got some grade set levels that we could take on, 8 or 10 kids per grade level. That would help in the long run. I see what you're saying, but I think we have the space, just to be honest.
and we do, but the other thing I look at is, let's say that we do take on, let's just throw second grade out there. My theory, we always grandfathered in siblings. So we're gonna be willing to tell, hey, your two twins that are in pre-K can't go here unless I put a portable building in, because those numbers will start to creep up. Because it did get out of hand last time with the transfers, and we were
So
busting the seams.
let's use that scenario, but let's use the second grader that we're looking at, because we have openings.
Right.
Pre-K is not a great example, because they gotta qualify for that, the pre-K.
I'm sorry,
Say first grade.
I should have reworded it.
Oh, I
They're
got
gonna be
you.
in kindergarten the following year, which
got
means grandfathered in the old system, as long as they pay the transfer. And we don't know how many kids it's gonna be, right? Because we don't know all the pre-K kids yet.
Well, one of the great things, the way this has been verbiaged, is you've gotta have space before you say, I do this. So you take all that into account, because when they fill out an enrollment form or an application, all siblings have to be on that also, so you're looking at the whole picture. So
Well, but
before I
even-
take Troy, I know he's got 2 younger siblings, you see what I'm saying, so you factor all that in. If you don't have space for them, then part of the policy says, you don't have to take them.
But even if we have the organic growth, and now we have to take a second grader, and that kid's a transfer, are we gonna are we gonna say, next year, third grade, we've got 400
Yeah,
students, and then we go, yeah, we gotta get rid of our
It's
transfer.
year to year
Yeah.
as far as space goes. So to answer your question, yes.
As long as our transfers understand.
We're opening this up. I'll be honest, but like with the superintendent, we need to take full responsibility for the superintendent to turn the process around.
And there,
That's what we talked about previously.
When we talked about it,
and a new board can change policy too.
Well, the financial thing never hurts, but it's a helpful piece to try to equalize some of the levels. And when I say equalize, they're not sitting at 21 kids. It's one kid extra than each one. We've got a little bit of disparity in some of the numbers.
And how, could it be more just where it's benefit to see what there, you understand, that's not, but not.
Unitary principle.
I think the way it's written, but yeah, we could approve it tonight, and the way it's written, we could never put out what grade levels we're looking for. So therefore, you never get any transfer kids with it.
we're part of the part after us and all that stuff. She, without the break.
I think you could.
The only other thing, John, to add, and like I said, I'm giving all the negatives, I know they're what is. Let's say that we open it up for, let's just throw out third graders. If we end up accepting 15 kids and we catch up to the level, but all of a sudden, 4 families move in and they just happen to have third graders. Now my elementary school teacher has, a couple of the teachers have 23, 24 kids instead of the 22, so now we've got classes that are actually bigger than we wanted with that virtual. And we're not gonna kick them out, you know, once they were already accepted mid-year. You
Not
can do it
mid-year.
Next year. That's the only thing that concerns me is I understand what was put in place before and and that was 100% based on funding. No other reason whatsoever but funding. I just saw our fund balance in the budget meeting and I just don't think we have a need for it with the way it's set up right now. So I don't mind giving you control over it. I'd just rather you not ever approve it for any grade unless we just need it for financial gain again. And if people wanna move here bad enough, move into the district and we'll let them in.
When we talked
Well,
about, I feel like
what
that's
if-
some of our planning is potential economic growth. So if we can't have all of our eggs in the basket of growth and then also be saying, but let's take 8, 10, whatever kids, that we don't have to have. We don't have to set a precedent,
Not at
What
this
if-
time.
not at this time.
What if we make an amendment in this that the board has to approve the brick and mortar numbers? That he's gonna go and say we need 12 third graders, that the board has to approve that.
That's similar to the way the policy was.
Reads right now.
That's the way it currently is. Anybody that is inquired about transferring in,
No, but we were approving any transfer.
in,
I'm just saying a number, like, hey, we need eight third graders, we need
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
fourth graders.
And then you're gonna want the report of, well, how
Then-
does this affect every
Correct.
grade?
Can we do this or not? And I apologize, I didn't bring this up last time, I know it's been brought up. Is there any way I can approve the virtual tonight?
It's where, as one policy, it's a policy update, or local board policies.
Because Ms.
update.
Yuli,
So-
you really need this, I didn't interrupt you.
No.
I understand what you mean. You need this done.
Yes, sir.
There's no,
But-
I can approve within
I can
our
always go back.
We
I can
can-
make a motion to Jay and get one other board member to do it, and I can go back and take the vote out or make an amendment to it. If you know a way I can talk about it down, make an amendment to it, I will. But I don't want to approve the virtual.
Well, I'm just saying for the brick and mortar, if the board approves the, whatever he's gonna put out that we need, the request. Like, you're gonna put out a deal, like, hey, we're looking for transfers.
here's how many we can do.
Yeah. And that's all that the board would have to do, would be, yes, we're gonna approve that, what he's requesting as far as transfers. You can make an addendum for that.
I guess here's my question, how's that different than what we're talking about right now?
We are, so, you're gonna do that anyway.
I'm gonna come to y'all anyway and go, hey,
I know, but
hey, we've got some small third grade classes. Using that as an example, principals out there. We've got a small class. If we could pick up 10 or 12 kids, we could equalize them. It's the same thing.
I agree.
Problem is,
Why
if
would
I know
you-
you're gonna be here till you're 100, no issue, because I'll be off by then, but.
You said that
Once again, every,
We're on the same schedule.
every lower.
No.
Have a transfer to second grade, third grade, and all second, third, fourth grade, so you don't need to do the work. You have to go back.
Back to where you came from.
I could, we're on the same page, and I can make this easy. I don't think there's a way to do amendment. I can vote on it now. We discuss it later, John. I mean, I know it's a policy. We can always go back and talk about that. If you're gonna come to us before you do it, which I know you will, let's just talk about it in more discussion when we say you need that number of kids. I'm with you on that deal. I don't wanna have a kid, he gets to high school and I don't have room in the lunchroom. Sorry you spent, till you're 15 here, but you can't go to high school at all. We're not gonna do that.
And that's not the intent whatsoever. And honestly, that, even if you got that gets worked out, we're not done with the kids. So, by the way, we don't have any room for you, you gotta go. We're gonna work that out.
But it would cost.
Yeah, I think what we're talking about here, we all agree that the team
Yeah.
size, we're unsure about bringing more than this policy. So it's complicated, this motion
she doesn't.
You can, could we make a motion that approves this strictly for virtual school, and we would revisit the brick and mortar in
I'm looking at Ms. Gwynn as y'all saying it.
And we've got a
September?
couple of tournaments in the audience.
We're approving the policy as it.
As written.
If we want to approve it like it is tonight, and we can revisit the brick and mortar at another time, and leave FEMA as it is, and change brick and mortar as.
I'm good with that. As long as I'm, this isn't a trust on you, you know this, John.
Oh, no, I'm good.
It's about the policy of it. Let's do that. If that's the way to do it, then I'm gonna make a motion to approve as is. This takes care of you.
Okay.
And then I'll give you a shout, and we'll get back on there for next month. So,
Sounds good.
okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? We have a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Opposed? 5-4, 1 opposed. Motion carries. All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Next, we got our information item. We've got our check register report, our 2026-27 employee handbook, and the TIVA 26-27 academic profile. Any of those that need discussion? All right. Next, we have our required public hearing for state compensatory education annual program evaluation. Ms. Whittle.
All right, this will also be on the website for anybody that wants to go take a look. But this is just kind of a very brief overview of state compensatory education. That is a program that we receive funds for specifically to meet the needs of our students that are identified at risk. There are currently 17 areas that a student can be at risk. This is decided in statute, and our counselors do a really good job of identifying kids, getting them into the services that they need. The majority of our at-risk students in the district are students who don't meet minimum standards for STAR, or all of our emergent bilingual students are automatically at risk. And then we also have a small percentage that don't meet the K through 2 screeners, just the standards. Those are set at the district level, and it just allows us to identify and serve them. So in this report, you have what our population is. We have 86% that are at risk, and then it will show each campus, what that looks like by campus. As you know, TIVA is an at-risk school, and so they carry a lot of that percentage, but you can see brick and mortar and how that increases as students get older, those gaps get wider, and all of the things. Most of our funds, it gets into funding on the next several pages, and how each campus specifically spends their fund. The majority of our funding is spent on personnel. So things like academic coaches, our intervention teachers, our behavior staff to meet the needs of those students that are in need of behavior intervention. We have a very small percentage that is on supplies for those programs, but the majority is spent on personnel. So in this, each campus has identified their total percentage of at-risk, how they spent their money, implications of those funds, and what they plan on doing for this next round. We plan on bringing the district improvement plan to you next month, and so you'll see, as we talked about these criteria and the results of state testing in June, a couple of things we identified that directly are tied back to our at-risk students. Everyone from the district level to each campus has an attendance goal this year because of kids aren't here, we see a lot of our kids that are meeting that threshold for attendance, also being the students who are failing multiple classes and then are not meeting standards on grade level STAR. So that's going to be a goal at the district and each campus to look at ways where we can encourage and reach out and see, what is the root cause of the attendance problems and see if we can help improve that across the district. Since it is a public hearing, if anybody has any questions, statements, anything that you would want to ask about any data, or you would like more data, open state compensatory education book.
Any questions?
Anyone curious? Okay, like I said, this will be on the website if you want to dig in more. And thank you for your support and campuses for supporting our at-risk kids.
Thank you. Y'all notice that TIVA number was 98%? It's a huge percentage of our kids that are at risk. All right, 40% here in Hallsville. Big numbers. All right. Move on to our action items. First item we have is consider the approval of reimbursement to Stride K-12 for the federal grant expenditure. Ms. Brown? Diligently working on budget, I'm sure. She'll have it to us before we leave.
That's the goal.
Oh, my goodness.
This item has been prepared. This month, we just have several months of the IDAB personnel expenses that have been submitted for the months of February through May 2026. Those personnel are allowable to be paid with the special ed grant funds, federal funds, and those months total $178,975.60. Recommend your approval for the expenditure from those federal funds.
We have a recommendation for administration to reimburse Stride K-12 for federal grant expenditures. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion by Mr. Palmer, second. Second by Ms. Jen. Any other comments or questions? All in favor? 6-4, none opposed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have considered approval of policy update to comply with amended DOI. Ms. Whittle.
Okay, so last year you approved a District of Innovation plan. We sent it to our friend Eric at TASB. He looked over what you approved in the DOI to see what local policies needed to be changed in our board book. And so these are the recommendations. If we approved it, there are some things that we approved in the DOI that didn't need to be changed locally, so you don't see those on this list. So this is just the list of the ones where the local policy didn't match the DOI that you approved. So you've already approved and read through the policy, so now this is just the legal match to go in our handbook.
Okay, we have a recommendation for administration to approve the amended policy updates for the amended DOI. We have a motion to approve.
I will make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Crafton to approve. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Goswick. Comments or questions? All in favor? 6-4, none opposed.
All right, thank you, board.
Next, we have Ms. Slayton. Consider the approval of the 26-27 student handbook.
Good evening. So each year, TASB sends us their model handbooks, and so we're asking for approval for the student handbook and then our student code of conduct.
All right. We have the 26-27 student handbook for consideration recommended by administration. Do we have a motion to approve? Ms. Jen makes a motion to approve. We have a second.
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Crafton. Comments or questions? All in favor? 6-4, none opposed. And we have the approval of the 26-27 student code of conduct. Same thing.
Same thing,
Recommendation from
yep.
administration to approve the student code of conduct for 26-27. Do we have a motion to approve the student code of conduct? Ms. O'Pride makes a motion to approve. We have a second from Mr. Goswick. All in favor? 6-4, none opposed.
Awesome,
All right,
thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes action items. Next, we have our department reports. Any department reports anybody would like to pull and discuss? All right, if not, it is 7:07. We'll take a brief recess and convene into executive session per Texas Government Code 551, consultation with attorney, discussion of real property, personnel matters, and so on and so forth. Hey, where's our board members? If you would get them back in here, please, we need to reconvene. At this time, we'll reconvene at 7:11. We reconvened in open session. We're going to move item 14 to this point of the meeting. Item 14 is our level 3 grievance. The board will now be going into, enter into a closed meeting according to Texas authority, under the authority of Texas Government Code Sections 551074 and 551071 for the purposes of deliberating a parent complaint concerning the school district employee and consulting with its attorney about the appeal. It is 7:11, and we are now into executive.
that Ms. Costa?
I
actually, we are actually in a recess now, and I'm just talking, and we're having a conversation, and ma'am, I'm always turning, you don't ever get to turn it off. I'm having a conversation with these gentlemen, and I appreciate it, you know. That's great, I'm not talking. Okay, guys, we're just gonna have to handle this this way. Yeah, what's up? Our daughters go to school together. Ma'am, this is a God, ma'am, please just wait till it, I don't know. No, you're right, it's early, but you're gonna go someplace else. Oh, no. I am actually advising you, if you'd like to set up a conference, you're welcome to come tomorrow during the hours for our daughter, which is available. Okay? Ms. Foster, do you have a card? No. Do you have a card? I do not have your name card tonight. Please just, let's talk about it. Well, she's trying to, yes.
All right, it's 7:49. The board is returning into open meeting. Do I have a motion regarding the level 3 grievance appeal?
Yes, I move to uphold the level 2.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Second from Mr. Palmer. Any other comments by the board? Questions? All in favor? 6-4 and none opposed. At this time, the board will reconvene into executive session. It is 7:49.
approached me, they said they were gonna give me some, a layout, and no one, the main lady never got back with me. I barely made this, and I went and talked, and now I'm just wondering what the decision was made. And the lady, I guess the attorney just kind of bullied me after that. I'm just asking what, if I get a paper, or if somebody mails me something, or if, I don't understand why I can't even get just raw information.
I don't have that information to give.
When y'all normally do this, what happens?
Well, I've
After
never been
they
in a,
vote.
we've never been in a.
I'm not usually a part of a grievance like that, because that's, I mean, that's not my department. But my suggestion is just, you can wait
I just
for.
don't wanna get in trouble for leaving, or something goes void because I left too soon, or,
I mean, I
I don't know that there'll be,
does anyone have a
It's close to-
protocol for this, or is there one I can look up if no one will speak to me?
I don't mind speaking with you, I just, I don't know the grievance and policies, because I don't.
Am I supposed to wait for these people?
I would recommend it to you.
Yes.
Just because you're confused. I would
Okay,
recommend it to you.
thank you.
talking about last minute vacation. We're like spring break or.
sharing. Nobody needs to use it. And I could do that without you. So pretty in there. Got to go. And it did. Put it back in my car and drove it downstairs. Is that the foot place someday? Is it right there? Yeah. I was like, it's one of those doors. Thank you. I promise you we didn't get it.
go back over there and get them. And I said, Donnie's playing, come back home. So we took the talk to her, forgot where he's from, he's from South Louisiana, he lived in Dallas. I said, that's all right, we want to know whatever. So we said something again, and I'm like, and I really think you need to go over here, I could. He goes, man, I got a few more with walking in. And he said, man, I got a few more. So, I had to go back and use it for a while. But I went over to, Stacy changed his mind, so I was running to the time. I said, hey, who's cookies? Well, cause I said, the cell guy sitting over there said, you dropped them and left over here, said, I'd come get them. They were almost done. Well, we don't have the cookies, but there wasn't that many. I'm like, those are our cookies. I said, Jan, those are our cookies. They're gone. You ate our cookies? I was like, golly.
I won't get an email, I mean, you'll send an email
All right, it's 8:43, we'll reconvene in open session. This time we'll take, we have recommendation from administration for personnel. Do we have a motion to approve? Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Fulmer. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. O'Pry. Any other comments or questions on personnel? No further comments. All in favor? 6-4, none opposed. And now we have the consideration of the recommendation of general contractor for the junior high athletic complex. Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir. Thank you. At this time, I would like to recommend Noble Construction as our provider to build our junior high athletic facility.
Okay, do you have the total, what their bid was?
Do. So Noble Construction put in a bid for $5,667,591.
Okay, we have a recommendation to approve Noble Construction as our contractor for the junior high athletic complex. Do we have a motion to approve the contractor and the bid?
I move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Haney. We have a second. Second by Mr. Fulmer. Comments or questions? All in favor? 6-4, none opposed. All right. Very good. All right, we've got our superintendent's report.
Yes, sir. Okay, August the 6th coming up, 6 PM will be our community pep rally over at Bobcat Stadium. August the 7th, which is the following day, it's on a Friday, 9 AM, convocation at the PAC over at the high school. We'd like for all to attend if you're able. August 14th, 12 PM, be a noon budget workshop. August 17th at 5:30 will be a special meeting, public hearing with tax rates. And then August 17th at 6:30 is our regular board meeting coming up. So August 17th, 6:30, yes, sir. 5:30 and 6:30 on the 17th.
Any comments on dates? Anything else? Anything else from the board? All right, if there's no further comments, nothing further, we will adjourn at 8:45. Congratulations. No one on here.
Those are the bases, those are the bases.
You come and drop down there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm talking like on this end right here, like let's say it's a rainy day, softball's here, baseball's here.
yes, which they can do.
Yeah, and then you got soccer or something, you're doing instructor, but if you have two batting cages, one here and one here, there's two cones, that you can flip right, you drop them down, because that's all we had down
BP in
there.
there.
You do BP in there, and then the other thing I would say, and I don't know, but I would look at adding more storage. Because here, when I was at Carthage, and we're in the same situation here where the softball field's at another complex. So, like, if they wanted to have a pitching machine that they could leave at the indoor facility, so on days of rain, they already have buckets of balls, they have pitching machines, they have, for baseball and softball. You could have more storage to be able to store that stuff.
So you think maybe extend over these, either both ways? to
Yeah.
get-
More,